Good morning, and welcome back to Mr. Hughes' virtual lesson. As you'll see in front of you, you will just be able to see 10 questions that we will have completed by this point, or you should have completed having watched the 2 YouTube videos that I want you to discuss. So moving on to those points, I want to recap what we discussed. Namely, we saw a parody of the song It's Too Late to Apologize. And it's all about the Declaration of Independence and all the different issues the colonists have with the king. Now, I also asked you for your stance on why might the signers, in this case I wrote singers, it will be corrected by the end of the video, feel it's too late for the king to apologize. So I want you to list at least 3. I know you all can do it. So if you haven't listed 3, go back and make sure you get that done. So the next part was to watch the following video on Thomas Paine, Common Sense, as well as Thomas Jefferson and the Declaration of Independence. Those 2 are key events in that they are documented forms of American viewpoints. Which sounds more significant? Me telling you in class, you're going to get 100 on a test, or me putting on writing, you are going to get 100 for the next test. Signed, Mr. Hughes. I think we all know, right? The one with the signature. Now, moving on, I want to cover today the major battles of the Revolutionary War fought in New Jersey, and why New Jersey's geography made it such an interesting point and a pivotal location during the Revolutionary War. So I'm going to go to my smartboard presentation, and the first thing that should stand out is, where exactly is New Jersey? Well, we've got this is a modern day map used to demonstrate current battle sites, even though the states weren't quite the same at the time. Maine was still part of Massachusetts. But we'll notice we have plenty of southern colonies to our south, obviously, and then quite a chunk of northeastern/New England colonies to our north. New Jersey sits smack dab in the middle. But also, let's keep in mind, we see the Chesapeake Bay, and that opens up to a major river that we're going to see that goes throughout New Jersey's border. And as you can follow my mouse right here, the Delaware River. And that's the Delaware River is what paves the way for a major battle at Trenton, when George Washington's troops, stationed across in Pennsylvania, not Philadelphia, moved in 1777 over to Trenton on Christmas night. Why might that be significant? Well, for one, they broke code. People didn't really fight during winter. They certainly did not fight at night. It was considered highly improper, and it was a violation of quote-unquote war rules. But Washington, knowing that the German troops, the Hessians, whom the British Crown hired out to fight their battle in many places, were celebrating Christmas. Well, Washington said to his troops, our Christmas present to them will be to take it over. So, in a famous picture that I want to show you right now, this is George Washington crossing the Delaware. He crossed it in 1776. I believe I may have said 1777. That was a mistake. I meant 1776. But I did say 1777 because there were 2 crucial battles with Trenton. Trenton was not a day-long battle. It lasted even throughout the Battle of Princeton, which would end on January 3rd. Things were far from over. So, right off the bat, if you want to note, you've got a few question answers. answers in terms of the different materials I want you to write about. Now, New Jersey's geography also played a major role, and unfortunately, I couldn't get a topographical map for this one. But what do we know about New Jersey? Well, for one, we all love the shore. You can pretty much find me there during the summer. I'm not going to say where. But we've also got the wonderful mountains, the Appalachian Mountain, which you can kind of see made out with the lighter colors. That's all topography. So as you notice, the further west you go, the higher it gets. So we've got mountains protecting us on the left, on the west, but we've also got an open barrier, the Atlantic, on our right, on our east, on our right. We've got water on the south, and we've got fairly flat land to our southwest. New Jersey was pretty open for attack, and in a way, it served as a front to protect the New England areas as well as the southern colonies. New Jersey was kind of the halfway point in the war, and that was a huge figure point in discussing the Revolutionary War today because of that fact. So Washington had a pretty big task, but by knocking out Trenton, effectively the middle point of the British government, and a location not too far from Philadelphia where many colonists met frequently, we effectively took out a huge British post. So the next area I want to get into is that of the military. The Declaration of Independence is a preview of what we're going to get into in our next part of the lesson, which will begin in a separate video not too long after this. But referencing our Google Docs, you'll see what occurred more in New Jersey, British lapses in military or Washington. And that's ultimately up to you to decide. My personal stance is that Washington was just a supreme fighter. He knew how to push buttons. Let's keep in mind that the troops were hungry, they were starved, they were in Morristown, which is about roughly here on the map, where the center of the different arrows, and it was a key area. So Washington had troops here, he had troops here, and the British had troops there. This was pretty tight. There was a lot of people in a very tight area. Ultimately, Washington wins out and takes out Trenton and goes on in perhaps the most pivotal battle of the war because of the fact that he shocked the Hessians, shocked the British, and went on to, well, obliterate the British and the Revolutionary War in terms of momentum for the British right then and there at the Battle of Trenton. So in the next piece we'll discuss the signers of the Declaration of Independence and where they hailed,